Good evening, America. Welcome to Battleground Live. This is the show that locks horns with the radical left. We kick ass, we take names. We're in the trenches in the fight to save this country from sea to shining sea and everybody in between. Welcome to all of America's patriots. I'm your host, Sean Parnell. I'm a combat vet, New York Times bestselling author. But more important than both of those two things, I'm a humble servant of America. Yes, on this show, we fight for America. Yes, on this show, we believe in the Constitution. Yes, on this show, we're building a community in the fight to take back this country because it's necessary and we don't have a choice in the year of 2024. But something that I'd like to do, and one of my viewers on X reached out to me and said, you should do this. And I thought it was a great idea. So not only do we fight for this country on this show, we also remember those who've given their lives for this country. Today's the 3-year tragic anniversary of the Afghanistan surrender, and the 13 Afghanistan veterans, men and women who lost their lives during that disastrous surrender, thanks to the utter incompetence of the Biden-Harris administration. This patch was given to me by the great people at Born to Ride with 45. If you don't know about them, look them up on the internet. They're a great organization that supports Trump. But I'd like to start off the show with just a moment of silence in remembrance of the fallen and their families. God bless our service men and women. We live in an amazing country because of them. These are men and women who volunteer to serve, at least over the last 20 years. They volunteer to serve, in many cases, knowing that they're going to be deployed. In my day, Iraq, Afghanistan, knowing that they're going to be sent into harm's way, knowing that they might not come home to see their family and their loved ones. And if you were drafted during the Vietnam War, well, you got called up, and maybe you didn't want to get called up, but you saddled up and went anyway. There's a hell of a lot of honor in that. And, I think how a country treats its servicemen and women is just of paramount importance. And we're going to talk about that a little bit today, a little bit later in the show, about who the hell is running this damn country right now. Biden was on vacation for 10 days in California, gets on a freaking plane. Media's reporting he can barely, I know it's reported all the time that he, poops his pants in front of world leaders and can barely walk up the steps. But the media was reporting very much on the down low that he was shaking so much so that he could barely walk up even the short steps to get on the plane. And then he goes to vacation, goes from one 10-day vacation in California to another 10-day vacation, or to another maybe week vacation in Rehoboth, Delaware. The majority of our Navy is in the Middle East right now on one of the largest deployments in God knows how long. Who made that call? Does the commander-in-chief even know what's going on? It wasn't Kamala and it wasn't Biden at the remembrance ceremony for the Afghanistan 13 who lost their lives during the Afghan surrender. You know who it was? It was President Trump, this country's legitimate commander-in-chief. Of course, if you're watching or listening for the first time, then on this show, we pull no punches. We believe that the election was rigged and stolen because it was. The only way that you can fix it is if you're unafraid to speak about it openly. And that's where I want to lead in with the show tonight. This bullshit PC environment that we live in. And I got an email from somebody or a post on my social media about swearing, and I understand. I really do. I am sorry for some of the cuss words sometimes. I was an infantryman, and I guess you can take the man out of the infantry, but you can't take the infantry out of the man. I'm kind of a no gruff, no nonsense, no bullshit kind of a guy, and what you see is what you get with me. So I apologize about sometimes the swearing, but there are psychological studies out there that says that people who swear in the general course of the day tend to be more honest and more intelligent. So I don't know, just saying, just maybe trying to give a little bit of an excuse. I am who I am. It's part of who I am. And I think in this day and age, in an age of lies and deceit made, pushed on us by the government, I just think it's of the utmost importance to be as authentic as humanly possible. And so we're going to talk about the Afghanistan withdrawal. We're going to talk about the importance of saying what you mean and why that matters. But before we do, let me tell you quickly about sponsor Sweetamine, because I got so much. These weekend shows for Monday, got a whole weekend's worth of news to cram into an hour. So I want to talk about Sweetamine before we jump right into it. And then we'll talk about the importance of speaking your mind and why that's just essential to saving this country. But Sweetamine, if you're suffering from chronic pain, you should definitely, I had Dr. Joel on, the guy who is founder and creator of Sweetamine. I had him on Saturday. Go watch it. It's not an infomercial. I highlight patriots who sponsor this show because it takes a hell of a lot of courage to sponsor shows like mine, because we pull no punches and we just tell it like it is. Sweetamine is one of the sponsors of this show. And go watch, do your own research, listen to Dr. Joel. The guy is a hell of a smart guy. But if you got chronic pain, you should be taking Sweetamine. Sweetamine works to tackle chronic pain because it's comprised mainly of an amino acid that naturally occurs in our body, but not enough, called glycine. That's the nutrient our immune system uses to regulate inflammation. And most of the diseases that make most of us sick and die these days are all rooted in chronic inflammation. So Sweetamine is not like an opiate-based pain medication. You're not going to take it. You're not going to get high off of it. Like if you had knee surgery, you're still going to have knee pain. However, the secondary pain that's associated with knee surgery that might, happen in your ankles, knees, hips, joints, inflammation that would have happened as a result of that injury, Sweetamine will tackle. And most people feel that reduction in pain after just a few days. For me, it took me about a week. You can take Sweetamine any way that you like. It comes in like these little sugar packets. Put it in like a protein drink for recovery after a hard workout. You can put it in a smoothie, sprinkle it on your cereal. I take it in my lemonade, like whatever I'm drinking that day, I just mix it in and take it. It's just 8 grams of glycine. And that's really enough to stop all excess inflammation right where it starts. You can try all this out with what they call a 12-day challenge trial pack. It's only $19.95 and it's free shipping and it's sold completely risk-free. So if you don't like it, you get your money back, period. You don't even have to send it back. You just get your money back. Also, Sweetamine contains no sugar, no carbs, only 24 calories. It's perfectly safe for diabetics. You can get it online at sweetamine.com. That's SWEETAMINE.com, or call 855-GET-SWEET. That's 855-438-7933. So that's sweetamine.com, 855-GET-SWEET, or 855-438-7933. I'm telling you, you got nothing to lose here, folks, but your pain. Give it a try. I mean, it's perfectly safe. And again, if you have questions, just go listen to Dr. Joel, man. That dude is smart as hell. Listen, I'm not a snake oil salesman. I take this stuff myself. I took it for a couple of weeks before I even agreed to pitch it on this show. This stuff works. Don't forget, when you try this challenge trial pack, use the promo code Sean, SEAN, and you get a $5 discount. I'm telling you, folks, it's really awesome. Okay, couple things right off the top. Got a lot to get to. Tulsi Gabbard endorsed Donald Trump today in Michigan. That's a big deal. So now Donald Trump is building a coalition of Democrats, Republicans, independents, and others in his campaign for the White House in 2024. This comes on the heels of RFK Jr., prominent Democrat turned independent, endorsing him. This is a huge deal, folks. I don't give a shit what anyone says. Trump bringing these Democrats on board and bringing these people who are disillusioned with their party, that's the essence of this movement, okay? And he's doing that, approaching our body politic in a very different way. Donald Trump doesn't hold traditional neoconservative views. He doesn't support endless war. He doesn't support rampaging across the Middle East and deposing autocrats all across the Middle East. And if you look back at our foreign policy over the last 20 years, whether it was in Egypt, whether it was in Libya, what we tried to do in Syria, what we definitely did in Afghanistan, what we did in Iraq, look at what happened in Iraq. we abandoned Iraq. We cut sling load there. That created a vacuum of strength that was filled by ISIS. It also emboldened Iran. The threat we face from Iran today is largely because we invaded Iraq. Saddam Hussein in Iraq was always a check against Iranian aggression, at least in the region. Well, we removed that threat to Iran because we invaded and toppled Saddam and created a vacuum there. So if you look at our foreign policy, the better part of the last 20 years, it's kind of not been successful. It's been a disaster. And you look at these proxy wars. I was talking to my wife, Commander Melanie, about this last night. World War II, the men and women, or the men primarily who came back from World War II, came back to a country. I'm not saying that these people that are veterans of World War II didn't struggle or didn't have their issues. I'm not saying that at all, okay? But I'm saying they came back to a country that had skin in the game. And then every successive generation, a smaller percentage of Americans went to fight America's wars. The war in Korea, war in Vietnam, and then contingency operations all around the world. One in Panama. Of course, we had Desert Storm and a lot of other places that I'm not mentioning right now. And then, of course, Iraq and Afghanistan. Well, in many cases, these could largely be considered proxy wars. Could anybody make the argument that America's freedom was legitimately threatened because of these wars? And so when veterans come home from those wars, believe me when I tell you, many American veterans, while we're grateful for living in this country, although I think our Vietnam veterans felt a little bit differently. In fact, I know they did. They came home to a country, in many ways, at least half the country, wasn't grateful for their service. And those heroes of the Vietnam era made a promise that no generation of America's veterans would ever be treated that way again. And they made good on that promise. We are grateful for them. But if you think about America really not having skin in the game, and what I mean by that is our tax dollars support the war, but by and large, most Americans aren't really affected by it. You look at the percentage of people that were involved in the war effort during World War II, and a percentage of people that were involved in the war effort for Iraq and Afghanistan. That number is 0.4% for Iraq and Afghanistan. You'd be hard pressed to walk into any American neighborhood during World War II and find an American family that was not directly affected by the fight in Europe or the fight in the Pacific during World War II. So veterans came home. We had a shared collective struggle together. So when that happened, there were ticker tape parades. America's veterans came home, they were celebrated. What's different now? And I would argue that America's foreign policy has led to this. These proxy wars that are everywhere have led to veterans coming home and really struggling, feeling like America doesn't have skin in the game, feeling like exiles in their own country. Trust me, I know, I've been there. And I'm building to this, so bear with me here. President Trump offers something different. Tulsi Gabbard offers something different. A different way of thinking. And that way of thinking is steeped in saying what you mean. And speaking of saying what you mean, Dan Bongino, who is a buddy of mine, was given some congressional testimony today about the Secret Service's response to the Trump assassination attempt. Let me tell you what I like about Bongino. And this is what I'm getting to, folks, about saying what you mean, saying what's on your mind all the time. You know how I feel about the phrase silent majority. I freaking hate it. It's bullshit. If I didn't know any better, I'd say the deep state created it just to plant a seed in our mind to keep us silent. Silence changes nothing. We are the majority. The majority of this country are conservative. They're traditional Americans that just want the government out of our life, that just want to pay fewer taxes, that just want to take your kids to football, baseball, basketball, go to your daughter's play, that just want to be able to go out to dinner or afford groceries, afford to put fuel in their car, take care of their family, pass on generational wealth to their kids. They don't want to worry about, going out in the city and getting mugged or, their city being overrun by illegal alien invaders because of some open borders policy. Normal Americans are just like all of us. They want to be left alone by the government. They're rugged individualists. They just want to live their lives. But we're the majority. We should be saying what what we mean all the time. And listen, I do this show. I lead in on the show saying we should pull no punches. This is the show that pulls no punches. But this trait among conservatives of being the silent majority, even I find myself saying, well, gosh, I don't want to say this. I don't want to get in trouble. Get in trouble by who? We win this fight by staying true to what we believe, and what we believe in is the Constitution. And these leftists, these radical commie, fascists, whatever, these mini authoritarians, they don't believe in the Constitution. I'm going to play you a soundbite later to show you that they don't believe in the Constitution. But Bongino was on Capitol Hill, and what I love about this guy is he's a little bit of a knuckle dragger like me. Listen now, if he's watching, or his producer, somebody watching the show, I don't mean he's a stupid guy. He's obviously a very, very smart guy. He's got the biggest damn show in the world. I'm just saying, he built his life serving this country, served as a police officer and then in the U.S. Secret Service. He also had his name on the ballot. You get in the fray, you get in the arena, you take your knocks, you get your licks, you know what it feels like to be out there. You get a look behind the curtain. And so this is why I appreciated his testimony on Capitol Hill today, where he just pulled no punches. He told it exactly like it is. And to Republicans who are watching at the local, state, and federal level, take a page out of how Bongino testifies to members of Congress today. Just speaks his mind, because our country would be in a hell of a lot better place if our leaders and our politicians did this.
Well, thanks for your time. Thank you for doing this. Sound okay? Everybody hear me back there? Yeah. Great, fantastic. Listen, let's just get right to the point. This was an apocalyptic security failure. A man was murdered in front of his family. 3 people were shot on live television, including President Trump in the head, who came within 2 millimeters of having his head explode on national television in front of millions of people. There's no sugarcoating it. It's no time for BS. Unfortunately, as Congressman Crane and Mills both indicated, the story seems to have been vanquished to the phantom zone, the media coverage. It's amazing how we're still talking about JFK's assassination, but nobody seems to want to talk about President Trump being shot in the head on national television, despite the fact that we have no answers. So I have 5 minutes, so I want to keep it quick, and I want to make 3 points. I worked in the Secret Service for 12 years. I loved it. I worked with some really amazing men and women who gave everything. I mean, a couple of them literally gave everything. I know guys who've gotten bizarre diseases overseas, like chikungunya fever and protection operations. Everybody gave a little bit of something in the Secret Service, and it was a real honor to say I was part of it. But they have 3 institutional problems, I believe, in the macro will help us get to the bottom of how this Secret Service apocalyptic failure won't happen again. First, they have a technology problem. The joke in the Secret Service, which is sadly no longer funny when I was there, and it wasn't funny then either, is they rely on yesterday's technology tomorrow. Think about that. Yesterday's technology tomorrow. Everything from computer systems that waste agents' times, filling out time and attendance records they were doing, to Congressman Crane and I discussing the fact that they only implemented slings, a technology as old as the wheel, about, 5 or 6 years into my time in the Secret Service, which is embarrassing. The weaponry was old, everything was old. These are things I would have talked about sooner if they didn't create a security crisis, and I obviously didn't want to air them publicly. Now you're seeing what happens when you don't have a drone up at a site you could have bought for $39.99 on Amazon. Second, another adage in the Secret Service, you've heard even the new acting director discuss, is the more with less approach. There is no more with less, there's less with less, okay? The Secret Service more with less approach only works if you produce more. That's how capitalism works. You produce a flat screen TV that was probably 20 years ago, $10,000, it's $200 at Walmart now. They produce a better TV with less. That's not what the Secret Service did. They produced less with more. They were given more money and produced less. A 20-year-old criminal outsmarted them on a $40 drone technology piece of device. You're telling me that's more with less? That's disgusting. That's nothing with less. That's less with more. Their budget went up. You guys know, you're appropriators. You know that. Third, and I'll wrap it up with this, turn it over to Mr. Prince. The investigative mission, the Secret Service, that they're telling you they need to make them better agents is total crap. That's garbage. Their agents are talented, smart people. they can figure out how to do protection without running out cheap $20 counterfeit notes at 7-Eleven on a Friday night while the president's getting shot in the head? How is it we have a DEA, we have an FBI, we have TIGTA, the IRS, CBP, and 1,000 other entities with a $6 trillion budget, which I know a lot of you guys have been fighting against this grotesque spending. $3 billion goes to the Secret Service, and we're wasting time running out counterfeit notes. It's a serious problem, counterfeiting. Granted, it might be a legacy item. They started doing counterfeiting. That's not what we do now. Get rid of the investigative mission, turn it over to other people, let them do what they do best and should do best. Protection. Thanks a lot for your time. Thank you for doing this. Thanks to the panelists as well and everyone.
I mean, listen, clear, concise, no bullshit. That's exactly what this country needs. And I know a lot of you watching and listening, and I'll get letters from you or emails from you. So I'd love to see the guy head up the Secret Service. I have a little bit of a different opinion here, and I'll tell you what I mean. Bongino needs to stay right where he is, because his ability to shape cultural sentiment, but also shape the way those bobos in Washington, D.C. think, he influences both. So he influences culture. If we agree that politics is downstream from culture, then Bongino's presence on the air influences culture, who then influence our politicians. So yeah, I mean, I would much rather have him stay where I think he would have a much, 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 much bigger impact with his podcast and on the radio than he would ever have serving as some bureaucrat. Now, granted, he's overqualified for that job. You saw the guy testify for yourself. But I'm telling you, this is what America needs right now. America needs ass kickers. America needs leaders. America needs strength. This country needs people at this moment to rise up and say, enough is enough. Business as usual. Hey, listen, it ain't cutting it. I mean, you saw the news in California that 30 illegal alien invaders get $30,000 for a home. I mean, that's probably some of the worst public policy in the history of this country, yet here we are. Well, how do we get to this point? We get to this point because Americans are afraid to actually speak up. Not, of course, the battle crew, not my listeners, but by and large, the silent majority cannot afford to be silent anymore. And you hear Bongino on the Hill, he's not hemming, he's not hawing, he's not testing the political winds. He doesn't give a damn what people think about him. He cares about doing what's right, and he's speaking clearly. That's what leaders do. If a decision is unpopular, so be it. If you're a leader and you're not doing unpopular things every now and again, guess what? You're not a leader. This country needs leadership. President Trump, President of the United States, was almost shot in the head and killed on national television. Not only have we memory hold the whole damn thing, it almost happened. And yet we're right back to business as usual. And I'm going to highlight one more soundbite by Bongino, because this assassination attempt, obviously, it should be personal to every single person in this country. But I was there. My wife was in the line of fire. People from my home state were shot and one was killed from my area. And we still don't know a damn thing about it. We know nothing about it. So I've expressed very special interest on figuring out what the hell happened, because we don't know. But Eli Crane, who's also a buddy of mine, asked Bongino this question, and Bongino replied in only the way that Bongino would in this moment.
Mr. Bongino, in your opinion, is the Secret Service in a better spot today with Director Rowe in charge?
No, it's worse. And sadly, I'm glad this is all being recorded, because when something else happens, and I hope it doesn't, I pray to my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, that I'm wrong. That you play this and go, look, that guy was crazy. You think this is the last incident, you're out of your mind. We have seen these incidents over and over. We saw the Georgia grenade incident with President Bush. They overtook the magnetometers. The Secret Service leadership in charge now with the exact same people. Exact same. Can you imagine a C-suite at a company that makes widgets? We find out that there's a design defect. The widget explodes and kills 10 people, and the CTO gets a promotion to CEO. You understand that's what happened here, correct? These are the same people. Kim Cheadle, the director, wasn't even fired. She was allowed to resign. she'll go get some cushy job somewhere, and her deputy, who is one of the guys behind these stupid waste of time things like agents wearing red ties on the detail, because this actually happened, by the way. These people will tell you this under oath if you get the right people. He was concerned about the tie color of the agents on the detail because it seemed to imply he supported President Trump. Congressman Biggs wearing a red tie. You're wearing a semi-red tie. It has nothing to do with anything. This is the kind of stuff the Secret Service was actually wasting their time with while withholding CSU counter surveillance assets and counter sniper assets from probably the most threatened man on earth. If you can explain it, good luck, because that's not the agency I worked for.
My last.
Amen, brother. Preach it, because this is what this country needs. I mean, we need more American patriots standing up and just saying it exactly like it is. You should live your life as if it was your last day on this planet every day. You should speak what's on your mind as if it's your last day on this planet every day. Because when you're laying on your deathbed someday, believe me, you're not going to think about all the overtime you should have worked. Most people on their deathbed express regrets. I didn't spend enough time with my kids. I didn't spend enough time with my spouse. I wish I would have said things that I didn't have maybe the courage to say because of what people thought. Horrible things like COVID and our government stealing our freedom and forcing our loved ones to die alone and closing our businesses, what people work their whole life for, draining your savings. You know, crushing this country in what seems to be almost an insurmountable debt. All of that happened because the vast majority of Americans, and I'm not talking about the battle crew, and I'm not talking about McGroin Nation or people who listen and watch this show, but the vast majority of this country who are on our side are afraid to speak up because of what other people think of them. Well, the time for that is gone. And this is exactly what I mean when I say local, state, federal. If you're running for office or you're in office right now, you got to know what time it is. Because America, we are not guaranteed to survive. And we will not survive without action from you all. And that means getting involved, because we got people like Merrick Garland and the DOJ. Now, keep in mind what I just showed you about the Trump assassination and the fact that we don't know anything about it and the media memory hold it. We got Garland in the Department of Justice threatening the American people with bullshit press conferences like this.
I guess as a follow-up on Scott's question, if you're sitting in these hearings with prosecutors and judges at the courthouse down the street. They're increasingly expressing concerns about the upcoming transfer of power and the potential danger of another January 6th. Do you share those concerns at all?
I think our prosecutions have made clear what we think about people who try to interfere with the peaceful transfer of power, which is an essential and fundamental element of our democracy. I quibble about whether we have 1,500 or slightly less than 1,500, but we have way more than 1,400 now prosecutions, and we have a substantial number of convictions. I think that's shown to everybody how seriously we take an effort to interfere with the peaceful transfer of power. The last January 6th, the coming January 6th, and every January 6th after that. I want to make clear to anybody who is thinking about interfering with that, they can see what we've done with respect to the January 6th prosecutions, and the Justice Department will continue to protect our democracy.
Oh, yeah. If you're a grandma that dared to go to a mostly peaceful protest and walk into the Capitol for a couple of minutes, guess what? Solitary confinement, straight to jail. You know, trumped up bullshit charges on 1512C, obstruction of an official proceeding. Who cares if the Supreme Court overturns it, because you'll rot in jail until the appeal is heard? Never mind Antifa, never mind Black Lives Matter, never mind people who tried to burn down St. John's Church or laid siege to the White House or caused billions of dollars of damage and killed people all across the country during the Summer of Love. They're fine. But those of you who might have questions about an election process that, by the way, is clearly broken, we're watching you and we're coming after you. And oh, by the way, don't mind that pesky assassination attempt against arguably the most famous and popular president in the history of this country. And no, I'm not talking about Joe Biden, because there ain't no way in hell that old animated corpse got 81 million votes legitimately. The most popular president in this country is Trump. He's the most famous guy in the world. He's the most electrifying political figure of my lifetime, maybe of all time. And you heard Dan Bongino say it himself, that he's the most threatened man on the face of the planet. And this is what our Department of Justice is focused on. This is what they're giving press conferences on. If you think America is going to survive with these asshats at the helm, you got another thing coming. And this country can't survive without you involved. Okay. As you can tell, got to take a little bit. Let me just take a break. Obviously, I'm pretty fired up, like watching all the news this weekend. So stay right. Let me tell you very quickly about My Patriot Supply. I'm a proud American, and that means if you come after me or my family, I'll be ready. That's why I rely on My Patriot Supply. Their mega 3-month emergency food kit comes jam-packed with 33 varieties of filling and delicious foods. Not only does that include creamy chicken-flavored rice, old-fashioned Italian spaghetti, and savory cheesy broccoli soup, you also get a bonus protein kit with diced beef, flavorful chicken chunks, and 3 varieties of beans, plus 9 different fruits, vegetables, and snacks. You really can't beat it, folks. All in all, this emergency food kit provides you a whopping 2,500 calories per day to keep you well fed and ready for anything. The way I see it, and you all know this, it's my solemn duty to protect my family. I don't wait on the government for anything. That's why we're slowly building up here at Fort Parnell and trying as best we can to live the homestead lifestyle, because we ain't waiting on the government. So a lot of this for us starts with My Patriot Supply and food you can depend upon for 25 years. So go to preparewithvnn.com right now. Save $300 on your mega 3-month emergency food kit. That is preparewithvnn.com. It ships fast. It ships free. Go to preparewithvnn.com. Save $300 on your emergency food kit. That's preparewithvnn.com. Also, I see G.I. Jenny. Deep breath, hold it in for 4 seconds, breathe out for 2. Yes, I know. I'm just going to take you to just try to meditate on air for a little bit, try to calm down. Hey, listen, I get fired up. These idiots are destroying the country that I love. Also, new sponsor alert. Before I tell you about the new sponsor, make sure you smash that like button, that little green thumb beneath the video, smash it. We made it on the leaderboard almost, I think, every single day last week. And I think we topped out, at number 35, which is kind of amazing and a testament to your strength as an audience. Again, this is your show. If you're listening for the first time, you know that this is a show for we the people. It's your show, and it always, always will be. So smash that like button. Let's get on the leaderboard together. Also, new sponsor, The Wellness Company. And I'm very excited about this. Everyone knows the next medical crisis is just around the corner. So whether it comes in the form of a pandemic or something much more mundane like a tick bite in your family, you and your family absolutely have to be prepared. Look, you're out if things hit the fan and you're outside, you got a knife and maybe you're field stripping an animal and pharmacies are closed and you can't get from point A to point B and you accidentally cut yourself and you don't have antibiotics and that cut gets infected, you could die. So that's where the Wellness Company comes in. You know the Wellness Company, we have great doctors like Dr. Peter McCullough. He's involved with the Wellness Company. The Wellness Company and their doctors are all medical professionals. You can trust their line of prescription medical kits are the gold standard when it comes to keeping you safe and healthy. So whether it's the medical emergency kit, the contagion kit, the first aid kit, or the travel kit, these prescription kits contain an assortment of life-saving medication and guidebooks to assist in the proper use of these medications. So anthrax, COVID, bird flu. From a trip to the beach overseas, the Wellness Company has a prescription kit designed to keep you and your family safe. This is really, really important. You should all, to the best of your ability, if you can, stock up on antibiotics and antivirals and antifungals. You don't have to rely on a pharmacy if things go south. So rest assured, knowing that you have emergency antibiotics, antivirals, antiparasitics on hand to keep you and your family safe from whatever the globalists throw at us next. See, always not about being paranoid. It's about being prepared. So here's what you got to do. This is a new sponsor, so check them out. You have to go to www.twc.health/battleground today. That's the promo code. Like the promo code is Battleground. You'll save 10% on everything. But go to www.twc.health/battleground today and order. Promo code Battleground, and you will save 10%. Folks, we got to support the sponsors that support us. So check out the Wellness Company. Okay. I got to talk about this Trump-Harris debate narrative. So Politico came out with this article today, the headline, Playbook Scoop, the secret debate about the Trump-Harris debate. And Zach Stanton, who is the deputy political editor or the deputy Politico Playbook editor, said on Twitter today, the Harris and Trump camps are in an impasse over rules ahead of the September 10th ABC debate. And he said, the holdup, whether the candidates' microphones will be muted when it isn't their turn to speak. Team Trump wants them muted. Team Harris wants the mics hot. So I got to tell you, folks, if you haven't heard about this yet, or you don't know the background here, this is another bullshit fake media narrative. And what this, Politico deputy editor, Zach, said, it was like unbelievably misleading and leaves out very, very important context. Here's what you got to know, like just a quick timeline. Do you remember back when, Kamala was selected and not elected, and this was after she shanked the old man Biden with the help of Obama, threatened him with the 25th Amendment? The media started pushing this narrative that, oh my God, Trump's afraid to debate. Oh, he refuses to debate Kamala on ABC. Oh, what a coward. He's afraid of her. Blah, blah, blah. Remember that? So Trump was like, F it. I don't care. I'll debate her. She's a moron. And so Trump agrees to the debate on ABC. And he also agreed to all of Biden's demands, right? One of those demands was that the mics should be off. So Trump agrees to everything that the Democrats want, okay? And now that he's agreed, Kamala is unilaterally trying to change the rules after the fact, and the press is covering for her. So a couple things at play here. I think a couple things are happening. I think Kamala is looking for a way to back out of the debate. She's looking for a way to sow some chaos, throw some shade at President Trump, saying, look, he's afraid. Really, I think the end state goal, two things. If Kamala has to debate, she wants those mics unmuted so she can do this.
Mr. Vice President, I'm speaking.
Well,
I'm speaking.
it'd be important if you said the truth. Joe Biden has said twice in the...
Oh my God. Now listen to me. I showed that clip to my wife. I've showed that clip to women. I mean, listen, here's what I'm going to tell you. If I did that to my wife in public, say at a dinner, excuse me, honey, I'm speaking. Yeah, I'm speaking. If I did anything like that to her, oh my God, I would be sleeping on the couch for at least a year. I mean, you just don't treat people like that. It's so demeaning. And to see her, oh my God, this woman just makes my skin crawl. Now, here she is. I guarantee you she thinks she's being some sort of girl boss, and maybe I'm wrong. Ladies who are watching this show, I'll jump on over to the live chat. Listen, am I wrong about this? Does watching Kamala say, excuse me, now take your feelings for Mike Pence out of it. When you watch something like this, do you think, oh my gosh, she's a girl boss. I love her. I want to vote for her. Ladies, please tell me what you think. Because if I am off base, I will shut my mouth. I promise. It's Sergeant No. It's like if you said that, In the live chat, if he said, if you said that, you'd be sleeping with the goats and chickens. And yes, that is exactly right. And I'm seeing people, the comments come in. Darlene, F her. G.I. Jenny, she annoys the you-know-what out of me. I hate her. Corley said, you'd be in the goat barn. Bill Fred said, I'd be a pallbearer because Commander Melanie would end your life. Commander Melanie would give you a demotion. Outlaw Dogs. By the way, happy belated birthday to Outlaw Dogs. She says she is a biatch. Freedom F, no. She is condescending. So it's not. So Demanda, oh my God, handle, holy smokes. Okay, so I'm not crazy, right? Like, she's clearly condescending, but also, I'm also right that that's why she wants the mics muted. She wants to do something like that. That's all she has. You remember she said that to the protesters in the crowd a couple weeks ago. Unless you want President Trump to be president, then I'm speaking. And then all the ladies in the crowd were clapping, I guess, because that means she's empowered. I don't know. But Brian, he works for Kamala Harris. Fallon. His last name is Fallon. He said, and this is the beginning of this fake narrative, right? Trump should honor his commitment to debate VP Harris on ABC on September 10th, and he should reject his handler's attempts to muzzle him via a muted microphone. The VP is ready to debate Trump live and uncensored, and Trump should stop hiding behind the mute button. So you see where this is going. Trump's afraid. And all these douchebags in the media are jumping right on board to run cover, of course, omitting the very important context that Trump agreed to the debate on all the rules that were proposed by the Democrats, and now they're trying to change them. Listen to MSNBC. Ugh.
So I think what we've seen in the days before the convention and certainly after is that Trump just doesn't know how to deal with Kamala Harris. He doesn't know how to pigeonhole her. His usual language of belittlement, derision isn't working. There is in the country this sense, I think, of we've been relieved from an election that people were dreading between two candidates who've run before, an acrimonious, nasty convention, a sense of the country locked with these two older Americans, and then suddenly there was a convention that really was a joyous event and that said, we've turned a page, and Trump can't figure out how to turn his own page. I think as he plans for the debate, he has to appreciate that she is charismatic and charming on television in a way that he fancies he is. That the camera loves Kamala Harris. She's learned in the cadence of her speeches, the way she presents herself to be a formidable TV presence. Donald Trump knows TV. He's smart enough to know he's got a problem here. He hasn't figured it out.
Kamala's own people knows that she sucks, that she's unlikable. That's why they're trying to hide her. That's why she's been in the race for a month and a half and hasn't done a single interview. That's why she's not done a press conference. If she was loved by the camera and great on her feet and charismatic and Trump was afraid of her, they would have her on TV every single day. But they don't, because Kamala sucks. And so juxtaposed with that mouth breather on MSNBC said, and listen to Donald Trump in the moment talking about this issue, you can see that Trump ain't afraid.
President Trump, would you want the microphones muted in the debate whenever you're not speaking?
We agreed to the same rules. I don't know. It doesn't matter to me. I'd rather have it probably on, but the agreement was that it would be the same as it was last time. In that case, it was muted. I didn't like it the last time, but it worked out fine. I mean, ask Biden how it worked out. It was fine. And I think it should be the same. We agreed to the same rules. Same rules and same specifications. And I think that's probably what it should be. But they're trying to change it. The truth is they're trying to get out of it because she doesn't want to debate. She's not a good debater. She's not a smart person. She doesn't want to debate.
I completely agree. Kamala is looking for a way to get out of it. This is part of the Democrat playbook. They want, as many early votes cast as humanly possible for her, okay? They don't want to have a debate early. They don't want people to see how she really is. If they believe she was strong, if they believe she was charismatic, if they would have her in front of the cameras every day. But guess what? They don't, because she sucks. And I'll tell you another thing. The Democrats know that she sucks. They just do. They know it. Now, I want to play a soundbite here between Bill Maher and Quentin Tarantino. Before you listen to this, just know that Quentin Tarantino dropped some serious F-bombs. So if you're driving with like the kids, or you have kids in the car, maybe do the earmuffs thing, or just be aware that Tarantino dropped some serious F-bombs here. But look at how I want you to think about how the left, they know that she sucks. They know that she's a moron. And these two people are supposedly smart. And Bill Maher's trending in the right direction. And I've not met Bill Maher, but I've actually heard he's like a really cool guy. But listen to their political perspectives. Listen to how it doesn't matter to them whether Kamala Harris does interviews or not, what she says in those interviews or not. Nothing is going to sway them from voting for her. Now, if that ain't the definition of a mouth-breathing cult, I don't know what is.
Bigger issue is the left and their ability or their desire to engage with anyone who's not already in the bubble. And they get a big fat D- on that.
I couldn't agree more.
Right. I mean, you see Kamala. I mean, I'm glad she's doing well. I'm glad we have a real fight now for president. But doesn't talk to the press, would never go near me. And when you won't go near the people who are going to vote for you, I'm going to vote for you. Do I have to love everything? No, I don't. It just shows they're afraid. And you're right, I see it so much.
Well, hold on, I don't, okay, you know what? I don't see her, well, there's no reason for her to go on your show before the election, but I can actually see her.
Yes, there is. Because I speak to the exact voter she needs, the person who is in the middle, the person who is not ideologically captured by either side. Now, there are some who watch who are that, and everyone is welcome. I need a bigger audience all the time. I'm greedy that way. But basically, that's exactly the audience she needs. The MSNBC crowd is already voting for her. People who watch me, who will decide, this election will probably be decided in like 4 states by something like 80,000 votes in each. That's how these elections, how close they are these days. And that's where we're back to. We're at least back to normal, which sucked, but it is normal that it's 50-50 going into the election. With Biden, it wouldn't have been.
Let me ask you about this, though. Okay, look, there's nothing you said that isn't right. All right. And there's definitely nothing you said that isn't right in a normal election cycle. I mean, it's irrefutably right in a normal election cycle where you have a year to set your case. I think there's just all about winning the fucking election, all right? And then the easiest path to winning the election, look, you can talk about maybe she should have had more guts about this or that and the other, but we're the fucking president.
Right.
And Trump's not the president, and we're the fucking president, and now it's going to be about this. But this is about fucking winning. What most people don't give the Democrats enough credit for, all right, but we give the Republicans credit for. It's like, no, sometimes it's just about fucking winning. And it doesn't matter how we look at this moment. It's about fucking winning.
Right.
This is about fucking winning.
Yep. No, it is.
It's a mad fucking dash, and she is running, and she's not stopping to stumble.
And you know what?
And there's nothing wrong with stopping this. I'm going to vote for her fucking anyway, no matter what she says in a stupid fucking interview.
Exactly.
So don't fuck shit up.
I mean, I'm going to vote for her regardless of what she said in some interview. Exactly. So this woman represents, basically communism, basically the fundamental transformation of this country. And these two people, with their enormous platforms, are totally fine with her hiding as long as they keep and maintain power. And listen, America, This is what we're up against. These people don't care about you. I mean, why would she do an interview? I mean, what is the point, fundamentally, what is the point of doing an interview with the media? If our media was functioning as it should be, the point is to inform the American people as to how she thinks on certain issues, on what policies she believes will be in the best interest of this country. What's her background? Why does she believe she's qualified? What these two people are arguing is they're essentially saying, screw you, America. We're going to hide our candidate. I don't give a shit if you get the information that you need or want or think that you deserve. This country's not about you. We don't give a damn about we the people. We just care about maintaining power. And this should matter to you, because I don't know if you saw what, top Kamala Harris backer Kelly Robinson said about the Constitution, but I don't have to tell you the existential threat that these Democrats represent. Listen.
We can't just worry about protecting democracy. In this moment, we've got to reimagine it with people that look and love like us at the center. And I think for us right now, it's about reimagining freedom and this American story in a way that is more revolutionary than what our founders actually put down on that little piece of paper, but instead is the type of democracy that is by and for all of the people of this country. That's the opportunity that we have.
The Constitution is just a little piece of paper. We need to reimagine it. Well, how many times have I said this? To fundamentally transform or reimagine means to burn it to the ground. What did these radical Antifa leftists do to Minneapolis when they were trying to reimagine the police departments there? They burned almost the entire city, whole city blocks to the ground. These leftists are dangerous, and the Democrat Party has really changed. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that. Let me tell you quickly about Genesis Gold. With so many options available for Americans to protect their retirement or wealth with physical precious metals, it's really hard to know who to trust. Our partners at Genesis Gold Group, they're a faith-driven gold and silver company that is unabashedly America first. So for them, it's all about teaching, coaching, and mentoring you about how to invest in precious metals, because I imagine you got lots of questions. I know that when Commander Melanie and I talked about this, she's like, well, how do you do it? Where do they store the gold? Can we keep the gold in our house? Like, how does it work? The bottom line is, here's what I know. I'm not an investment guy, but I know that politicians on both sides of the aisle have destroyed the worth of our dollar. They've destroyed our paper currency. In fact, since my birthday, the year that I was born, they've devalued our currency upwards of by 90%. Gold and silver has relatively kept, maintained, and risen in value very steadily over that time. So I'm not talking about replacing your entire retirement portfolio with gold and silver. And again, I'm not an investment guy, but I got common sense. It makes sense to hedge fiat currency, paper money, with something that's more tangible like gold and silver. So if you visit rumblegold.com today, that's rumblegold.com, you'll get their free definitive gold guide. That's rumblegold.com. You can ask them any of these questions. I'm sure they'd be happy to help you, but that's rumblegold.com. Check them out. Also, got to tell you about Red Beach Nation. I love Red Beach Nation. It's a conservative apparel company. It's a beachwear company for freedom-loving Americans. So whether you live at the beach, you're traveling to one, or you're trying to imagine yourself there, Red Beach's comfy, patriotic apparel, sure to lift your spirits. I've gotten letters from people who went to redbeachnation.com, checked out their spangly stuff. They got really awesome stuff there. They're very, very happy with it. High quality stuff. Super patriotic, super spangly. Who doesn't love spangly stuff? I love spangly stuff. What I also love about the company is that it's founded by a former counterterrorism officer and war veteran of Iraq and Afghanistan. It's very, very important to me to both, support veteran-owned businesses by using this platform to talk about them and, buying from them. Like, we should patronize them as well. These are people who fought to keep this country free and went to a lot of places that a lot of Americans never went or maybe didn't want to go, and they deserve to come home and live the American dream. So we should support companies like Red Beach Nation. Part of the other reason I love this company is that they support all the values, American values and principles that we all hold so dear. They believe in the Constitution. They believe in the Bill of Rights. They believe in life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Red Beach Nation is just pure Americana right across the board. So come live the sand, surf, and freedom lifestyle with us. Head on over to redbeachnation.com, redbeachnation.com. Use the promo code Sean, SEAN, save 10% off your order. Again, that's redbeachnation.com, and use the promo code Sean to save 10% off of your order. Okay. So the Democrats, they're not the same party. Okay. And you realize that, well, first of all, they're not the same party, but I want to show you something here real quick. Biden's on vacation. Kamala didn't give a shit about the fallen service members in Afghanistan. I led in the show today with a moment of silence for the Afghan 13. You should say a prayer for them today. But President Trump showed the hell up for these grieving families, and this is what leadership is all about. Listen, if you're listening to this and you can't see it, this is Trump laying a wreath at a funeral ceremony, at a memorial ceremony at Arlington National Cemetery with a member of the old guard in their dress blues, just showing up when it matters most for families of the fallen. It's Trump walking down the steps with a soldier. You see the people in the crowd there. So
President on!
I mean, where the hell's Biden? Biden's on vacation. Biden couldn't be bothered to show up. And this is Kamala's reaction, a few moments after the 13 servicemen and women were killed in Afghanistan. This is her reaction when the press is asking her about it.
What's your response to reports of Americans?
Hold on. Slow down, everybody. I want to talk about two things. First, Afghanistan.
So 13 soldiers die, and her first response is to cackle like a effing buffoon. I mean, how do you think the families felt watching that in retrospect? How do you think the families felt when Biden's there checking his watch during the dignified transfer of remains in Delaware? The Democrats are not the same party anymore. It didn't used to be like this. The party of my grandfather didn't used to just revile America's servicemen and women. And let's face it, that's what they believe. You can't believe these bullshit hoaxes that the Democrats push about President Trump. I know President Trump. I know his family. That man loves our military. That man reveres our military. I've seen him interact with members of our military and amputees with tears in his eyes. He cares about them. He loves them. You can't believe this bullshit, losers and suckers, hoax, anything that the Democrats accuse Republicans of, they themselves think that. So you can bet your freaking ass that Democrats think that veterans are losers and suckers. It's a hoax. And, the Democrats have changed. And this brings me back to the open about Tulsi Gabbard and RFK endorsing Donald Trump. It matters because there are tens of thousands of still moderate Democrats who feel like they don't have a home. And I know this because I'm from Pennsylvania, Western Pennsylvania, where there are thousands of these Democrats here who feel like their party has left them. Here's Joe Rogan talking about that very thing.
The culture shift between right and left authoritarianism, and now people don't recognize that if you just stop looking at it in terms of red and blue, look at the actions, whether it's war, suppression of free speech, pharmacological interventions that are mandatory, whatever the fuck it is, that used to all be associated with the authoritative right, the authoritarian right. And now those things are being embraced by the left. And I just think it's just an ideology thing. And I think we get confused and we think we're on the right side. We're on the right side. And if it's our side that's saying this, for sure that's the right thing to do. And no one's critically thinking about this.
Joe Rogan is a Democrat. Joe Rogan is a Bernie Sanders guy, at least in the last election cycle. Joe Rogan's able to think critically. Joe Rogan's also got the biggest podcast in the world with the largest audience in the world. How about Brett Weinstein? What do you think Brett Weinstein said about this? Another Democrat. Listen.
Absolutely. Let me just be perfectly clear about this. I think the modern Democratic Party is an existential threat to the Republic. And although I am a Democrat, I've been a Democrat my whole life, the party that I see in front of me today is literally the inverse of the party I signed up for. This is now the party of war. This is the party of racism. This is the party of censorship. I don't recognize this party. There is no conceivable scenario in which I would vote for Kamala Harris. I just simply will not do it. Am I open to voting for Trump? I am. I'm especially open to it if he is partnered with Bobby Kennedy, because what that tells me is that my values, which are a much closer match for Bobby's, are represented in that administration. And that's really what I want. I want a coalition to redefine American politics because, frankly, we have a long-standing problem with corruption, which has now turned into something else with the modern Democratic Party. But we need to rethink the way we govern ourselves so that corruption is not the dominant force. And a coalition is the way we're going to do that.
Yeah. That's a Democrat right there. And I'm going to play you a portion of this RFK interview with Dr. Phil because this is also important. I want you to listen to what RFK says about what his internal polling showed.
Here's the thing. You crafted a trail in your press conference. You're staying on the ballot in the red and blue states. In the swing states, people have said that this could come down to 15 counties in 11 different states. 11 of those counties in 7 states, including where we are right now, that you said you don't want to be on the ballots there, you don't want people to vote for you there. Do you think you can be the determining factor in this presidential election because of the positioning? Of course, if they don't get to 270, if they tie at 269, whole different ballgame. But if this comes down to independents in those 15 counties in those 11 states, and you've given your support to the Trump candidacy, do you feel like you may very well be the one that selects the next president of the United States by your influence?
Well, that's possible, but I would have, if I had stayed on the ballot in the swing states. And what I've done, Phil, is we're taking my name off the ballots in 10 states that are swing states. We're leaving my name on in the red states and the blue states so people can vote for me without consequence. You know, they're not going to be scared, oh, the bad guy's going to get elected. You know who's going to get elected in those states. So it allows people to vote for me who want to vote for me without any consequence. But what we recognize from our polling is that if I stayed in the race, it would have almost certainly swung the race to Vice President Harris, who was trying to throw me off the ballot in all of the states, ironically. But I thought that would not be a good outcome for her, you know, because I differ with her on all the issues, on the issues of war, on the issues of censorship, on the issues of chronic disease, on many, many other issues. I did not want to give the election, I didn't think it would be right to give the election to her. And our polling from the beginning showed pretty consistently that if I got out of the race, 57% of the people who were supporting me would vote for Trump.
57%. RFK Jr. in some of these swing states was 5%, sometimes approaching double digits. That is a significant number. And the reason why I'm telling you that, lead in talking about this coalition that Trump is building and just how so many things in this country feel like they're off the rails. But this unique coalition is emerging to save this country. And I'm playing that for you to show you that there is hope. Yes, things are messed up. It doesn't mean it's not, it doesn't mean it's going to be easy. You're going to have to work hard. But we have a real opportunity to save this country, a once in a lifetime opportunity to save this country. Don't miss out on your place in history. Don't be for a second a member of the silent majority. We're going to win this damn thing because we are the majority. Okay, folks, thank you for being with me for the full hour. You all are the best audience in the world. Make sure you smash that like button on your way out. Smash that like button. Help get us on the leaderboard. Tell your family and your friends to subscribe to Battleground Live. If you're watching, listening right now for the first time, or you've been with us like OG members of the Battle Crew have here in the live chat, follow Battleground Live. Follow this channel. Subscribe. Tell your family and your friends to subscribe as well. This is all about building a community. This is your show. It always will be. That community's mission is to save this country. So smash that like button. Follow this show. We want you in the trenches in the fight to save this country. Tomorrow's show is going to be amazing. I'm working on trying to bring this guy on. He's a very good friend of mine. He's a really great guy. His name is Dr. Zama. He ran for governor in 2022. He's frankly, he's overqualified. He's just absolutely brilliant. He's a world-renowned heart surgeon. It's absolutely incredible story. Talk about his story. Talk about just some of the stories he has operating on people. But also, he dated Kamala Harris for a long time and has some of the craziest stories that you will ever hear. I swear to God. So I'm trying to lock down Dr. Zama. Of course, I'm going to try to get Brian Dean Wright on again this week. I'm going to try to get Savage Rich on Savage Wednesdays. So huge shows planned for you this week. You're not going to want to miss it. So as always, folks, keep the faith. The best is yet to come. Take action in your community. And God bless you all. And God bless this exceptional nation that we call home. Take care. Good night. And I will see you tomorrow.